Have you ever bought or sold a property and everybody tells you, hey, we're in escrow now, but nobody tells you what that actually means? Typically, that's what happens. You see, it's sort of like you're hanging out at home and one of your best friends comes over and says, hey, jump in the car, but they don't tell you where you're going or how long you're going to be gone, right? So today, what we're going to do is we're going to uncover one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to real estate, and that is what happens in escrow. What actually happens in escrow? Because to be honest, most people know they're in escrow, but they have no idea what actually happens or what the next steps are when it comes to the process. After watching today's video, you're going to know what escrow is, some common misconceptions, and how you can help make your transaction close on time. And so today I'm joined by one of my colleagues, Rosanna Ruiz. She's an escrow officer. We've worked together for 13 years plus. And, I really appreciate you coming on and talking. Most people don't realize it, but as escrow, you girls are usually the silent partners. You're the one, you like your job, but we leave a lot of the limelight to the real estate agents, to the lenders. And so I appreciate you coming on and sharing some insight with me about the escrow process and just your experience with it, your insights. And so, I appreciate you doing this, Rosanna.
You're welcome, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we'll just dive right into it. A lot of times people, like I mentioned in the intro, they sort of know what escrow is, but what is it? What is escrow?
So escrow is a third-party, neutral party, actually, that we are contracted by realtors, lenders, clients directly, if it's a transaction, directly by sellers and buyers. We're pretty much the middle silent person in the transaction. We investigate the title on the property. We collect signatures. We get the loan documents signed. We make sure funds that are being requested for the contract or the loan are deposited into our trust account. And then we pretty much close it out, disperse based on the instructions we have either on the contract or on the loan documents. And we make sure the client gets their new title or any documentation that got requested for the transaction. And that's pretty much what we do.
Yeah. So when it comes to, down here in Imperial County, it is a little bit different than if somebody were to buy in Riverside, San Bernardino, or San Diego. But just talk a little bit about, because the difference, right? The difference between, because we have title and escrow here in Imperial County. They're two separate things, really, that we're kind of tying together, right? So when you say, hey, we got title and escrow, just elaborate a little bit on that with the whole that sort of difference, right?
Actually, I think we're one of the few now that we have actually escrow and title in-house in the same branch.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a plus.
Yeah.
So the difference is escrow handles the paperwork, signatures, meet clients, the money portion, and then our title branch, they deal with the county and the difference between our small Imperial Valley here to other bigger counties, for example. San Diego, we're so small that we have quicker access. We can walk across the street. We have these relationships with these different professionals in the valley that we can just pick up the phone. And it's a little different. We're more hands-on versus bigger cities or counties. We get to see our clients more often from what we hear from bigger cities and counties. So that's kind of a plus because we kind of get to build a relationship with them. And, they kind of get to see a face as well. And it's a little exciting.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's one of the things, the benefits, and when we talk to outside agents or even people that are purchasing and selling maybe here, right? And they're selling and let's say they're going to San Diego, for example, or selling even in San Diego, just the process, right? It's we're more hands-on, like you said. We have more control, especially down in this small little valley. We could pick up the phone if there's some sort of issue with, taxes or whatever it may be, and we can get that answer a lot quicker than, if you're San Diego or LA, you're just another number.
Right.
Right. And good luck trying to get stuff done. So that's the benefit of being in a small town.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's just talk about a little bit, let's say someone's out there house hunting and they get their offer accepted. What happens? Kind of walk us through the timeline, the steps once that happens. Real estate agent sends us an email and says, "Hey, please open up escrow, Rosanna." What happens from that point forward for the clients? Whether it be a seller or a buyer.
Yeah. So typically, any transaction is pretty much the same. We normally get an email with all the parties or principals involved. A great big congratulations on the email for either the offer getting accepted. So that's our starting point as escrow and title to get our process started. So we open the transaction based on the information we receive. We give it a number. We open title at the same time. We get title search started through our title company in the county that the property belongs in. We then ask the agents. We reply back asking to submit all necessary documents, such as like the fully executed purchase agreement, counters, addendums, whatever could apply for the transaction. We ask for contact information for the clients, commissions up front. So that's the starting point for us to gather as much information as we can so we can open it, make it a smooth transaction. If we need to contact the client directly just to sign, that's the best way to go because we have everything. And then we start collaborating either with the agents, the lenders, to see what they need to either get the loan going and such things like that. And then the next thing is pretty much we got final approval, we got clear to close, meaning the client is ready to sign their loan documents. We give them that happy call, hey, we're ready, come in and sign. And typically it's common, we close within the 24, 48 hours from when the client signs. And then we close it up. We give everybody now our congratulations email out to everybody, letting them know it's been done. It was a smooth transaction and, give the good news to the homeowner or the borrower for the new loan they acquired.
Yeah, absolutely. So, mostly escrow, you guys, I think one of the misconceptions too between sellers, not so much buyers, I wouldn't say, right? Because buyers, they're usually on a timeline with the agents. They're like, hey, you got to do your inspections. We got to get an appraisal. We got to do X, Y, Z on their side. So they're a little bit more, I guess, say a little under the gun. They're a little more urgent in the sense of, hey, bringing in a earnest money deposit, right? Yeah. But talk a little bit about the seller too, because I just feel, they're a little bit more lax thinking, oh, well, it's opened. Okay, I'm going to just kind of leisurely get escrow, maybe what they need. And that can cause some issues from time to time. Right?
Issues, for example, possibly maybe a delay on the closing.
We don't want that.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that, but it happens.
Yeah.
We're human, it happens. Families have vacations sometimes scheduled, and the closing comes up. But yeah, we try to reach out to the sellers as well and give them a feel of what our closing date is to kind of feel them out too, if they're going to be here, if they're going to be out of the area, if they're going to be out of the country. That's a big one.
We've been getting a lot of that lately. I don't know what's going on.
Parties are involved.
They're going to Europe, man. Europe's hot right now. We're heading out.
Yes. So we try to get that feel from the sellers, particularly because we have to get wet signatures from the sellers in order to transfer title to the buyers through deeds. So that Imperial Valley still has to require wet signatures. Yeah. So we try to explain that to them as well to make sure if they're going to be here, if not, if we have to move things around, that all parties involved are on the same page, so we won't have a delay at closing.
And speaking of delays, like one of the big misconceptions is that escrow causes delays, right? But just speak to that. What really does cause delays in a transaction?
Yeah, delays would be, for example, it could start since the beginning. Or where we don't get the information that we need. For example, we don't get a phone number or an email, or we get an email, but they're not responding to our email. We don't have a phone number. How do we get a hold of our principal, our seller, our buyer? So that's the big thing, the misconception that they think escrow causes a delay. But no, we're trying to reach our parties involved in the transaction, and we don't know where to get this information from, but from the party who referred us the file,
deal.
the deal. For example, the agent, the lender, etc. So that's the biggest misconception that a lot of people think out there in the community, lenders, realtors, that escrow causes the delays.
Yeah.
But there's more behind it too. There's more to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what really causes it is the information gathering, right? Like whether
Correct.
it be, hey, seller needs to provide X, Y, Z, and if you're able to get that information in a timely manner, then you're able to do your job, right?
In a timely manner
Yeah,
as
because
well.
there's things that it's a step process, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, step. But I know that most sellers don't realize that. I would suggest to any seller out there, like I said, buyers, they're already sort of on a timeline.
Right.
They're getting the house, they're
antsy, yeah,
going,
they're
they're
getting home.
antsy, yeah, they want to close quick, right? And not to say the seller doesn't, but that seems to be lacking a lot.
Yeah.
Is where the seller is, okay, yeah, we opened up escrow, great. Well, I'm going on vacation.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'll get to escrow stuff, when I get to it,
Right.
which could cause, delays. So give us an example, because, it is a lot of paperwork, right?
Yes.
That's another thing that people don't realize, but just talk to that a little bit. Like, what paperwork are they going to be seeing as a seller? And then out of that paperwork, what documents are really necessary or need to come into you a lot quicker than some other documents? Because they don't have to be given right away,
Right.
but some do, right? Some need to
Right.
be in within the first couple of days to get that timeline.
Yes, so the seller package is more elaborated. There's more forms in there. There's more information that we need. So it contains our escrow instructions, tax disclosures, depending on how they're going to declare the sale, authorizations where they let us know if there's either mortgages on the property, if they had a forbearance, a modification, a line of credit, solar panels, homeowners association. All that stuff we need to know from the seller so we know what parties to contact to start ordering that information that we need to clear title. So those, and the statement of information is the other very important one. So out of the whole package, I believe those are the ones we really need to watch for and get in as soon as possible, just so we won't get any surprises at closing. The statement of information is also in the borrower's package or in the buyer's package. But we mostly watch and look at the seller's side because they're the ones relinquishing title to a new party. So we have to make sure there's no liens attached or a new deed of trust that they might have just acquired 2 weeks ago that it's still not coming up on records, that we might physically have to go down to the county and buy a copy, things like that. So we look out for the statement of information, the owner request form, which is tell us who their
Payoff,
mortgage company is,
mortgage payment.
payoffs, HOAs, et cetera, and their tax forms are the ones we really need up front. Everything else, basically, we can get it till
Later
2-3
on.
days, a week before closing. They can docu-sign it, but without those main forms, we really can't move forward with the process.
Got it. Now, the statement of information, what's on that document?
So it's the client's personal information, such as first name, middle name, last name, DOB, where they were born, phone number, email, driver's license, where they live, where they work, and if they've been married, if before any marriages before. So that we need all that information in case we do pick up a lien that possibly even matches their name. We can use a statement of information to rule out our party if it's them or not.
Yeah. And, down here in Imperial County, we have a lot of common names, right?
Right.
Where it could be, let's just say it's a John Smith or Jose Rodriguez or
Right.
whatever it may be. And title ends up running that name, right?
Correct.
And then there might be 200,
Pages.
300, 400 different liens,
Yeah.
right, that they have to go through.
Yes.
And trying to identify whose is what, because we never want to show, let's just say,
Right.
child support. And you've been in those conversations.
Yes, I have.
I don't have child support. What's
It can
that?
be very uncomfortable.
Yes, right. And so, but they wouldn't know without that document,
Correct.
right? So the statement of information, you get that. That helps in the prelim too,
Correct.
where when it comes out, if there's child support, well, it's theirs. We
Mm-hmm.
know, right? Or if there's a judgment, it's
Correct.
theirs because we've now verified with the
Correct.
information they provided to us. So
Yeah.
without that, it causes problems. Give an example of not getting the SI and then you move down the line and you're maybe a week into closing. What potentially could come up that could kill the deal or even just delay it?
Possibly a different address where they lived many years ago that wasn't on the statement of information, but they acquired a lien back in the day, and I'm talking about like early 2000s. It could have been a child support case that got open, never went anywhere, but never got closed or released. So without the statement of information, if it's a unique name, we probably won't be able to pick it up on our search at the primary search. So if we don't get it up front and wait to the last minute and we pick up a child support, we first have to see what county it's in, because
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, because every county is different.
Every county has different turnaround times. So it can be up to 20 days depending what county it is. So that can possibly delay a closing or probably even kill a transaction. So it's very important to get the SIs, because we can have a scenario like that where we weren't provided with the information for X reason. And we finally get it, we run it, and something comes up, we cannot close a transaction until we clear that.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been in those transactions
We
where
have.
it's, if it's Imperial County, it's a phone call. We can get it
Yes.
we can get it quickly within 24 hours, right? Because we have the
Yeah,
relationship.
and those are not the phone calls we like to do.
No, but whenever it's LA or,
Yeah.
San Diego, again, we're just a number.
Yeah.
The clients, whether it be a real estate agent or even the client themselves,
Right.
hey, is there anything you can do? Can you speed it up? And no,
Yeah.
when it's LA and when it's San Diego, they don't care who you are.
Right,
And,
no.
or you got to
They
be
do
somebody
not.
really special
Yes.
to get it in that county, because they just are like, nope, request online, you'll get it on 14 days, and
Yeah.
you get it
Yeah.
like on day 14,
Yes.
not day 5. So the whole, well, I
Sometimes
hope,
it feels like they hold it to the last day.
yeah, right, almost like they do it on
Yes.
purpose. Like they
Yes.
probably could, but I mean, they're bigger counties. I'm sure they
Right,
get
they're
lots of
busier, yeah.
requests. So we'll give them a little bit of leeway
Leeway.
there. So, final question, Rosanna. What would you say is the difference between having a seamless escrow versus a stressful escrow?
There's a huge difference.
Even for you,
Did you see
even
my
for
side
us,
there?
yes, even
Did
for
you hear my
you
side?
and me.
It's very stressful. We're not here to make the transaction any more difficult than it can possibly become. So we want to make it smooth for everybody involved. Everybody's excited. Buyer is excited to get a new home. Might be their first home, their biggest decision they might have been doing their whole life. Or the seller is selling because they're upgrading or moving to a different state because they're retiring, for example. So it's very stressful if it does not go smooth, if we don't get the information up front, because then we're running, calling, and sometimes it feels like we're harassing our clients or our agents. Hey, I really need this. We're constantly calling, and if it's something that goes south for whatever reason, it's very stressful for everybody. I mean, there's deadlines involved. There's appraisers being lined up. There's cost outside being paid for up front for inspections, closing cost rates, etc. All this can impact, the transaction and make it very stressful. So the quickest we can get the information into escrow and complete and executed, we can guarantee it will be a smooth transaction, and we want to see more of those.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And hopefully this video will
Yeah.
help in that sense. So thank you, Rosanna, for your insight. And just to go over a quick recap, when it comes to escrow, they're a third party, they're neutral. Think of them as a referee, and they're just making sure that everything is being done correctly, that the rules are being followed in the transaction. They don't pick sides. They don't pick sides for the seller. They're not on the buyer's side. We're not on the side of chaos either. And so escrow is neutral. They're gathering information, producing information. And so you want to, as a seller, key thing is it all starts with an email. Once you open up escrow, look for an email from one of our people. and then also give them a call, or
Yeah.
provide that information as quickly as possible. Within the first 5 days, you'll receive this email with documentation, and the quicker you get it to escrow, the better your transaction will be. The two main ones for a seller that you want to look out for and provide quickly, again, is a statement of information, and the second one would be a payoff authorization.
Right.
You can always send, if you have a mortgage, you can send that statement to escrow, and because it has information that they need to order payoffs and demands and such. So get those two if you're a seller into escrow, and you'll have a much smoother transaction, and you'll be able to close on time. Buyers, same thing. We're gathering information. Be sure to look out for the email. Provide your information to escrow as soon as possible. That way it runs smoothly. And it's not always on escrow. That's a misconception. Don't shoot the messenger. We're here trying to gather information, and that we deal with lots of different people, right? We're dealing with the principal, we're dealing with real estate agents, and we're dealing with lenders. And everybody has their own paperwork, and et cetera, et cetera. We have our own, like I mentioned. So just if you want a successful escrow, you want to definitely tie yourself and get close with your escrow officer once you open up escrow. Reach out to them, call them, have a quick conversation about what they need and what needs to happen next. So if you find this episode useful, feel free, agents, to share it with a seller, with a buyer, or even a lender. And if you guys have any more ideas for us that you want to bring or hear about or discuss, let us know and we'll try it out.